Welcome to episode number 20 of Fit Pet Boston Talks. I'm your host, Leah Lodato, and today I sat down with Sara Noonan, owner of Harbor Hounds in East Boston, for the first live interview I've done in months. We chatted about structured dog daycare, owning working dog breeds, and she gave some advice about getting your feet wet in the dog handling world. If you're into this podcast, please like, subscribe, share, and visit the Patreon page to support the project. Thank you for listening and supporting the awesome dog handling community we have here in Boston.
I can't even hear it.
The chewing?
No.
Oh. All right, we're rolling. Episode number 20 of Fit Pet Boston Talks. I'm here with Sara Noonan of Harbor Hounds in East Boston. I'm super excited to sit down and talk to you today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. We see each other semi-frequently at Bite Work over at Falco Canine, and I thought you'd be perfect for somebody to be on the show. Oh my God, it's a show. I don't think I've ever called my podcast a show.
I think it's a show.
It is a show. It's entertaining if you haven't heard it before. But the goal and the vision of this podcast is to sit down with Boston area dog handlers and talk about their lives, their dogs, and their careers in hopes to inspire other people that are interested in getting into the industry, which is pretty hot right now, despite the fact that coronavirus has taken over our lives. It is eventually going to go back to normal. Who knows when that's going to happen. But in the meantime, our businesses are growing and adapting, and we're trying to work with what we have and just kind of make the best of it. So Sara and I are going to talk a little bit about what her business is doing right now, how she's doing, how she got into structured daycare, and a little bit about her own dogs. And if you're new to the podcast, please go back and listen to some of the older episodes because I've interviewed some really awesome dog handlers. Yeah. And there's some amazing advice and stories and little nuggets that I think will be useful if you are into it. So welcome, Sara. What do you want to talk about first? How you got started?
Yeah, we can talk about how I got started. We've been open a little bit over 3 years right now. And when I originally opened, there was one other doggy daycare in East Boston. So there's only 2 right now. So when I opened, I'm like, this is going to be such a good idea. There's so many people, millennials, people between 20 and 30 that live in the city that are not having kids yet that have dogs. And I'm like, I love dogs, so let's do this. So we opened the structured daycare. We were the first one in East Boston to do the structured daycare idea. And I really wanted to stick with it being structured because I've seen how other daycares are run. And I'm like, I don't think I would want my dogs to go to a daycare where it's like a warehouse type situation and it's just a free-for-all, like dog park behavior. So when I opened this, I'm like, I really want dog owners to feel comfortable that their dogs are, getting kind of trained while they're at daycare. They're picking up good behaviors. They're socializing in a super safe and calm way while still roughhousing with other dogs, but just respectful play with one another. So that was kind of my vision when I started. I wanted it to be a very specific type of daycare.
Now,
that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense to me. What was your history before having this idea to open a structured daycare and then, of course, going through all of the hoops to opening your own business, which is an entirely separate can of worms? Where are you kind of coming from career-wise?
So career-wise, I went to school in Florida. I got my bachelor's degree in sociology, which I am obviously doing nothing with now. I was originally studying biology, so I had the animal niche in me where I wanted to continue that education. That just didn't work out. So I moved back up to Boston. After I graduated, I worked at a marina for a little bit, and then just kind of jumped right into the dog world. I've always been an animal fanatic, and I feel like a lot of people say that, right? So they say, I've had dogs growing up. I know dog behavior. I want to be around dogs, but do you necessarily know what it's like to be in a pack of 30 plus dogs? And I can honestly say I didn't. I kind of had, no idea about being surrounded by that many dogs at once, but I do feel like once I opened and I started getting my feet wet with it, it really just became natural for me. And I've owned dogs my whole life, a lot of power breeds, Dobermans, the pit bulls, and stuff like that. So I kind of had that niche of dealing with, stronger dog behavior.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, I feel like it's like you come from the top then it's a little bit easier to work with pets.
Yes. 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 Very different.
Oh, man. So as far as your kind of intention for opening up a structured daycare, what was like from the conception of the idea to it happening, like it coming to fruition? What was that journey like?
So when I opened up, I knew I wanted to take it very, very slow. So starting off with less than 10 dogs a day, small pack, being able to manage that, and then eventually grow from that, which is what I did. The majority when I first opened up, I was working alone. So the journey of it really was just a very slow journey. I didn't want to do a million different things at once. I wanted to stick directly to the structured daycare program and how I was going to perfect that and then grow from that. So that's kind of what I did. And from when I first opened up in January, over 3 years ago, it was about 6 months until I was like, okay, let's bring some more dogs in here. Let's hire some staff. Let's like get this going. So that was kind of my journey with it. Definitely wanted to start slow and then grow, and then that's what really worked for me.
Yeah, it's so funny to hear you say that because that was my exact journey. I didn't have very much handling. I had a lot of exposure to dogs in my previous life, I guess you could say, but I didn't have any formal handling experience when I started walking dogs because I, like many other people, I think, or was just kind of like, this is going to be great. And then
the life.
Yeah, exactly. And I luckily did not quit my job that I had in the evenings. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to take like very few dogs and just kind of see what happens. And then I very quickly learned that the dogs that I was taking on, it was either the dogs were like super old, and I learned a lot about like medical stuff because of that, which I think was kind of good because that's something people don't always anticipate when they get a dog. Like, holy shit, this dog is going to be 9 someday and it's going to have all of these issues and I need to figure out how to deal with it. And then the dogs that I were getting for like regular walks were like behaviorally just a complete mess.
Yeah.
So that's how I even got into the whole dog training, that whole niche away from dog walking because I was starting really slow and I was able to just kind of adapt as I needed to in order to fit what my clients were.
Yeah, and it makes your job
for.
easier too because you're working and training with these dogs. So at the end of the day, they're a better fit for your program on what you're doing, and they're more manageable.
Right.
So that's a good thing.
Right. So what was it like starting up your business as far as, the money aspect, you don't have to give actual dollar amounts, obviously, but, managing that type of like initial investment, finding your space, getting all the licensing and things of that nature. Was it fairly seamless? Was there a lot of monkey wrenches thrown your way?
So when I was working in the marina, it's a marina and shipyard. So it's a very industrial area. And, one of the buildings became available.
Yep.
And with the building, they stored boats in it. So you walk in, and it was so hard for me to even see a vision because it was just a nightmare.
I love that.
So it took about like 8 months of, putting down rubber flooring, painting walls, just cleaning, getting it ready to have like my vision. And I didn't do all the bells and whistles at once. That was another thing that grew because I didn't want to dump all this money in to something and then, what if we weren't successful? So now I have all this money into this business that I can't really do anything with. So it was very bare bones when I opened the first 6 months. No fancy decorations. We didn't really even have the rubber flooring then. It was just it was dog safe and it worked for then. And then as far as like when you open up a doggy daycare or training facility type thing in Boston, you really have to be zoned for it. So we are on Massport property. So my process was very simple to go through. I kind of gave them a proposed business plan. They reviewed it, and then that was it.
Yeah, it's awesome because you're in a shipyard, so it's like dogs. Who cares?
Yeah, we're like the quietest business in there. We have steel fabricators next to us that are loud all day long. So it's like the barking, which is always at a minimal, but even that, it's like nobody can really hear it. So it's been it was a very painless process for me to kind of go through to get the licensing and stuff like that. I think that when we do expand and look for another place is where we're going to find those challenges.
Now, is that in your game plan?
Yes.
You're outgrowing your little space
We've outgrown it from the first year.
Right.
We have a waiting list right now with over 40 dogs on it.
Right.
And I attribute that a lot to, we have a lot of pet-friendly buildings near us. So like I said, it's like the millennials moving into these apartments with their significant other. They're not having kids yet, and they're having a dog. So, and they're like, they want to do something with their dog during the day because they work these long hours. So the wait list has been pretty long for a while now. So we definitely want to look at another space sometime soon.
Yeah, that's good for you. Congratulations. That's awesome.
So hopefully sooner than later, but right now everything's kind of on the back burner.
Oh my God, I know. You can't make any plans.
No.
I think that's what's crushing me right now is just as a dog walker, just trying to figure out, I communicate with my customers really regularly just because I work by myself. So I have like less than 30 active accounts. Mm-hmm. So I communicate with them regularly, just checking in, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't doubt that there'll be business. It's just like we don't know what exactly to do right now. And I think that's the biggest, And I also think, as we were kind of chit-chatting about earlier, but I think the way that people work is going to change. I think people are going to work from home a lot more than, they were going into the office every day. And
Absolutely.
Even people that are my clients now, their jobs, their bosses, too, that I know of have said, don't come back to work till September, work from home the whole time.
Some of my clients aren't going back till January.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and like you said, a lot of people are working from home and they're getting the work done. So it's like, there's really no point to go to the office. And then when offices do open up, it's 25 capacity. So not everybody's going in at once. I know we were talking about this earlier. It has been a nice kind of reset to have cut down days, cut down hours for myself, mental health wise, just running rampant 5 days a week, 7 to 7, all the coordinating and stuff. So it's been kind of nice to reset. I feel like energized now. I want to get back to it. Really want to start expanding, looking at stuff like that once things do go back to normal. So it's kind of been a nice reset for me as a business owner as well.
Right. Yeah, we were discussing that earlier too. And just, I think our nature, like we're so bullish, like you, me, pretty much everybody that we hang around with that has anything to do with dogs, the lazy dog people, you can see them real quick.
Yes.
Because there's just so much hustle that's involved that there's just if you're successful, it's because you're crazy and you love have this sick, weird, twisted way of working.
Yes.
So I would say that if you're interested in getting into the industry and you have no desire to work for anybody else and you're lazy and you have no hustle, don't even bother.
No, I was just
you may as well just light your money on fire.
I was just talking to my manager about this too. And it's it's so go, go, go. And it's if you're a business owner of an art gallery or even something else, it's you're dealing with dogs that could potentially kill one another. And then you're running around all day. I feel like my mind is full torpedo, but that's me. I'm a high energy person anyway. So it works, but I'm whew. I kind of understand some of these dogs that are high energy.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I definitely have missed the structure of my day before this whole thing happened, because it's funny because Laurie and I have been doing a ton of walking with the dogs that we've been training, and she has a completely different work ethic than I do. She's 10 times more insane than me when it comes to work. I mean, just crazy. I mean, if our bodies didn't just crap out on us, we would she would just keep working.
Yeah.
But she was even saying to me the other day, oh my God, I can't believe you walk all day. And even when I'm walking, it's I don't even have time to be on my phone. It's I literally have to have my stopwatch, old school stopwatch. And when I'm working, it's just boom, 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 boom. And right now it's taking a step back. We've been doing a lot more woods walks with dogs that are my clients. I've been hey, let me take your dog. Let's see if we can get some recall out of this dog and actually do some stuff with.
Right.
It's been kind of nice, to be able to, like you were saying, hit the reset button, figure out what actually motivates me.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to your roots on what you enjoy.
Is being insane all the time what's motivating me? Because I don't know if I really want that for my life.
Right. I feel the exact same way, exact same way. And yeah, it's very go, go, go.
Sorry.
He's got his bone.
Yeah. My dog has his bone. It's a little close to the wires, but he's not chewing on them. So that's good. Okay, so culture, the hustle of it all, that's awesome. Talk a little bit about your own dogs. Who do you have at home and what are they up to lately?
I've got 3 dogs at home and I'm itching for another one so badly. And I know that I can't. I physically can't do it. I financially can't do it, but I can't help myself. I'm like looking at your Roddy and I'm like, I could use another Roddy. It'd be nice. Maybe I'll get a female this time. That's like the crazy aspect of my brain.
You got to get one from Jane.
I know. Yeah, you're going to have to definitely give me that contact info before I leave.
Yeah, she's just, man, she just puts out, and she's being super experimental these days, just like getting really awesome stock, and her litters are incredible.
Yeah, it's like, I love Rotties, and Phoenix is my first Rottweiler, and I love their breed, but I'm like itching for a Doberman, like a big Dobie, super clean looking. So I'm all over the place. There's like 3 breeds I want right now. But I have 3 dogs of my own. I also have a cat who's kind of like a dog. So I have the Rottweiler, Phoenix, he's 5. I have Oakley, who is a complete mutt. Found him in Florida on the side of the road in college at like 6 weeks old. He just turned 9, so he's been with me through every phase of my life, different cities, states, jobs, everything. And then I have my problem child. She's a 3-legged pit bull mix that I was fostering, ended up keeping her. She was kind of a nightmare.
And how old is she?
The rescue told me 2. The vet told me 8. So I'm gonna go with a hard 5 on that. I really don't know. She's so weathered looking. She was hit by a car, so she like had a stroke. So her face is droopy, but her teeth make it seem like she's 3. So I honestly have no idea. I just say she's 5.
She's like the sun-baked bar patron.
Yeah,
but like
and it's been 3 years
when
and
she
hasn't
smiles,
changed.
she just has like bleached white teeth, and you're like, wow, never judge a book.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been 3 years when I said she was 5, and I still say she's 5. So I don't know. But she's a trooper. Most of the reason why I did end up keeping her is because she's so great in daycare. She's really good with other dogs, and she kind of just like is a potato because she doesn't move around too often because of the missing leg. But she's a really good daycare dog. My other 2, not so much. So that was a big reason in keeping her, because I was like, she wants to bite everybody's face off that tries to meet her to adopt her. So I'm just going to keep her.
Yeah.
See how this goes. And
That's awesome.
yeah, she's okay.
So you have 2 pits and a Roddy?
My mutt he is like pitty, German Shepherd. He looks like a blue heeler. I got the DNA test, which I can say that those do work because I did Phoenix and it came back 100% Rottweiler.
Oh, really?
Because I was so skeptical of them, and I'm like, I don't know if I believe this because Oakley came back like all these crazy things, and like he looks like a bird hunting dog or like a pointer or something, and it was like pit bull, husky, German Shepherd. I'm like, I don't see any of those, so I'm like,
Right.
it might actually be accurate.
Yeah, we did one for Ruben, and his came back like the most prominent breed was miniature pincher, which you can kind of see.
Yeah.
And then it was like 12% beagle, 12% chow, and the rest was like,
I knew you were gonna say chow.
it was like super
Every
mutt.
mutt
I'm
has
like,
chow.
what the
Why?
heck? He doesn't look like any. So I pretty much just said I have no idea what this dog is.
Yep.
But I think it was funny because Tyler put out a great post the other day on his Instagram story because somebody had asked him, what do you think of the DNA tests? And he was like, I don't really care about the DNA test. Show me the dog's parents. But obviously we can't do that when we're rescuing dogs. But I thought that was a really good point because that's something that I've always said to people that are rescuing dogs versus getting bred dogs.
Yeah.
And, and anytime somebody's like, adopt, don't shop. You mean if you get a bred dog, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but you have kids at home, right? So you want to adopt, don't shop. You don't know if that dog's parents bit somebody.
Right.
Like, use your brain.
Yeah.
And then they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, didn't you go to biology class?
Right.
Like, did you go to high school?
It's not how any of that works.
I know,
And
exactly.
the whole adopt, don't shop. I was heavily involved in rescue, and I will admit that I used that phrase a lot like 5 years ago, and my perspective on that has changed so much. I mean, I love the rescue aspect of dogs. I mean, I love all dogs, obviously, but I think going forward, I really want to meet both parents of the dog and it be an investment. I want to invest in this dog and I want to make sure their health is being checked out and their temperament is good and not kind of just like picking up a dog that I really know nothing about. Even though I could handle it, it's just not something I want in my future.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. And I feel like we should be given, I know this is kind of going off on another topic, but I feel like people should be given the liberty socially to make that decision.
Yes.
Without having like a ton of backlash.
Yeah. And that's usually the case, unfortunately. But I mean, people don't realize that, when you are buying from an ethical breeder, you're supporting this breed and making sure that this breed sticks around, like Rotties and stuff. I mean, it's really important to produce specific dogs, like the retrievers for service dogs and stuff. So it's good to keep those breeds still around.
Yeah, I think breeding really hit me on the head when I interacted with a bred service dog, like a rejected service dog, because like they had other health issues. And you just realize, like, my dog Ruben, we raised him exact same way that we raised Buddha. But he just has, a different personality. He has reactivity. He has this, that, and the other thing. He's weird. Like,
Right.
I can never, Buddha's a therapy dog.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, I'm not saying that Ruben and I aren't going to do great things. I think we are.
Yeah.
But it's limited. And it's limited for me. I'm a trainer and I happen to be married to an exceptional trainer. Like Laurie's exceptionally good at what she does.
Yeah.
And, there are limits because, when you don't know the genetic material and whatnot, but
genetics are very, very important.
I know.
Very important.
I'm so relieved, I think, especially in the Boston community, or maybe it's just the people that I hang out with, to kind of hear that becoming more of a theme.
Yeah, it's actually, I know we're getting off topic a little bit, but I really like talking about this because I feel like, 5-10 years ago, people were saying that, pit bulls were nanny dogs and genetics like didn't play a role in a lot of these dogs. And I feel like the more people are owning dogs, the more educated they're being. And it's such a breath of fresh air to hear some of my clients who do own power breeds or Australian Shepherds and specific breeds that you need to biologically fulfill their genetics. So they're doing agility and stuff. So that's been really, really cool. And I think that a lot of people are becoming more educated on, listening to their dog's genetics. Let's go back to their roots. Let's see exactly what this dog was bred to do. And let's fulfill this. Like your Roddy. I mean, the protection training and stuff, giving that controlled aggression outlet has been awesome. I mean, it's awesome for me. So,
yeah, and it's fun to see him just turn on.
Yes.
Because the other 99% of the time, he's like a couch potato.
Yes. And that's exactly what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And I had this conversation with a client the other day. I was teaching a class. She has a beautiful beagle, but she had previously had labs. And, beagles are just a whole other can of worms. I think people like them because they're great with the family and they're great with kids and
they're small.
They're super cute.
They are.
But they're savages, They're
such savages.
Yeah, they get into any amount of trouble they can possibly find, dig holes. Any negative thing you could possibly think, run away from you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like intense amounts of training need to go into just having a nice off leash companion with a beagle. Whereas with a lab, like they're like by your side, like
right.
Not all of them, but hey, what can I do for you? Do you want this ball?
Very companion style dog. It's funny. We have a bunch of beagles at daycare. Shout out to Barney. Loves rolling in poop. And as gross as it is, and it's like, this is kind of like, it's their genetics. They roll in poop, so they can't be like detected by other animals when they're like hunting and stuff. And they're so used to being out in the woods and being hunting dogs. It's just kind of what they do. And it's like, that's like their genetics to do gross stuff like that. And it's kind of funny to watch. And it's like, this is a very beagle thing to do.
I know. I have a beagle on my dog walking schedule. Shout out to Daisy. But she's like 11 or 12 years old, and she is a savage. Like, if you turn your head, your entire sandwich will be gone. Like,
Yes.
there's no amount of training that is going to prevent that from happening. And, this woman with the young puppy, she said to me, like, oh, like, basically, like, if I exercise him a lot, if I do all of these things, like, will it make him a better dog in the house? So basically I don't have to watch him all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, not at all.
No, they'll just get into anything.
I'm like, you can run this dog until it's dead.
Yes.
And as soon as you bring him inside the house and, drop a piece of food on the floor, or leave a piece of food on the counter, like,
gone. There's no chance for it.
Exactly. So I think that there is something to be said for, for that type of thing. And it is a relief kind of to hear people get back into the whole idea of really educating themselves, which is another big part of the reason why I do this podcast, is so that, there's just a ton of dog handling, training, walking services available. And I want people, especially like your clients, if they don't know you so well, to just kind of like hear you talk, hear about what you're doing every day. What's your vision? What's your work ethic like? What are you saying about dogs? What's your philosophy? How are you thinking about, how are you thinking about this industry, and how do you care about what's going on? Because for every great dog handler, there's a shitty one.
Yes.
And how is an owner supposed to know the difference? I mean, there's nothing that there's no like, regulations as far as training, handling, walking, all that stuff goes.
And I think you see it as much as I do. There's so many good dog trainers, and there's trainers that they know what the hell they're doing, and it's like, yes. And then the other dog trainers that are doing some of these things that you just look at, and it's like, because you said there's no regulations on it, so anybody can say they're a dog trainer. They grew up with golden retrievers, so they can train your dog. But a lot of people don't really understand what goes into it, and the biological fulfillment of it, and then the genetics of it, and then specific breed handling. So it is so refreshing to see doggy daycare owners, dog walkers, dog trainers that have knowledge in this, because it's only going to better the dog community.
And I should also say too, a lot of those people are not very vocal on social media or have really intricate websites. Like Laurie doesn't have a website. The things that she posts online are specifically for the dog parents.
Yes.
It's not for somebody that's like, oh, let me look at what ABC Dog Training is doing and see how she trains dogs. Like, in order for them to get that information, they're going to have to talk to a client referrer. It's going to be from a client.
Yes.
It's going to be somebody like walking their dog down the street, and somebody's like, who trained your dog?
Yes.
And they're like, oh, Laura, you got to call her.
Yeah, that's how we are too. And a lot of my clients know that me and my manager do a lot of training. But a lot of them think that it's strictly a doggy daycare. And it's funny, I had somebody ask me the other day about bringing their dog, and they're like, so you have like knowledge in dog behavior? And it's like, no, this is my first day. Like, yes. And now that I think about it, I'm like, that's actually a good question. I mean, because some people don't, or you're an owner and you're a silent owner, and you don't have dog knowledge. And for my customers listening to this podcast, or when they see me doing training, they're like, wow, I didn't know that, you did that. You did the recall, and then my manager does the e-collar classes and stuff like that. And they're like, I didn't know you did that. And it's like, we're kind of quiet about it. And if you have questions and you want to get your dog trained, we kind of talk to them about it. And they're like, okay, we can offer this.
Yeah, that happened to me at the bank. I saw Cooper's mom.
Yes.
Yeah, I was in Medford making a deposit, and like people see the name of my business, and then they're like, they want to talk to me for like 30 minutes.
Yes.
So, the woman, like, super nice, and she was saying like, oh, my dog like sucks walking on the leash, and she's like, but I bring her to doggy daycare. I'm like, where are you bringing her? Oh, Harbor Hounds. I'm like, why don't you just talk to Sarah and have a class with her? And she's like, I didn't know that she did that. And I'm like, yes, she absolutely can teach your dog how to walk on a loose leash.
I'm not too vocal about it because I don't want to stretch myself so thin, because I'm very much hands-on at the daycare. I'm operating every single day. I'm there every single day. I'm the sole one who talks to the clients. Cooper was the funnest doodle I've ever worked with. He is so smart. I had this like preconceived notion about doodles that they were all so neurotic, and there are some. This dog, he understood heel under 5 minutes. I got him to recall so quickly. I actually need to touch base with her again, because we were just about to finish our training with him before we had to close down due to COVID. But man, he was so fun to work with, and that's what makes me love training, is that focus that dog has in you and that trust. And they're like, let's go. I'm ready to work. And I'm like, yes. Gets me all hyped up.
Yeah, and I think knowing also sometimes I don't know because I don't own a daycare, but I think sometimes in daycare you have different clients with different needs. Like sometimes your clients might not want you to talk to them about training because they just want your dog to be tired at the end of the day. Like they don't give a shit.
Yes.
And then you have other people that are like, hey, I'm having these problems. And I think that, you know, having a integrated business where, you know, you can offer a little bit of training, maybe not advertise it, but if people know that it's something that you do and can offer, you know, so that I'm sure Cooper is pooped because she even said to me, she's like, he just loves daycare. He comes back, he's so tired.
He loves it.
And, you know, that's the whole point.
Yes.
So, you know, for some people.
Yes, exactly. And it is good. It's a good outlet for these dogs to come in and then, they have like this structured mindset. So people have this idea that the doggy daycare is just like a dog park. They're running around, beating the shit out of each other and just like the zooming and the chasing. And it's like, that's all fine and dandy, but that's such a high stimulated environment where something can go wrong so quickly.
Yes.
So even though these dogs are coming and we're not necessarily training them all day, we are working on the good behaviors with them and the good manners. So they are picking up a lot of things from daycare that's making them a better rounded dog. So if they do have questions, and most of my clients will talk to us every single day and they'll be like, oh, my dog was such a dick. It was, you know, they're being so leash reactive and et cetera. And it's like, okay, we can absolutely help with that. Like, let's do a game plan. They get pumped about it and people are just so invested. My clients are so invested in their dogs, which makes me love doing it even more.
Right, because if you put the work in, they're the ones that are going to reinforce the teaching so that you can see results.
Yeah, and it makes my life easier too. It makes my staff's lives easier because then they're reinforcing this and then they're becoming a better dog at daycare. So it's like, it makes our jobs a little bit easier.
Yeah, becoming more well-rounded.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I know. I think that sometimes it can be a little bit challenging because... I was having this conversation with Laurie. We were actually going to do a podcast about it, but the difference between exercise and training and how, you know, I said to her, I'm like, if all it took were exercise for a dog to be trained, we wouldn't have dog trainers. We'd just have like dog exercisers.
Yeah, people run with your dogs.
Yeah, exactly. So there needs to be a healthy balance of both, regardless of you have a puppy or an older dog, like structure and training and exercise, all part of like the big picture.
Yeah.
But it's not that one excludes the other one.
Yeah, it's funny you said that too, because one of my biggest things when I do evals for dogs is that I say most of dogs coming to the daycare and not running around playing all day is watching the other dogs. And that's so much stimulation for them and like having to concentrate and having times where they have to be calm and that getting their brain working like that is more tiring than taking your dog for an hour run. They'll be tired for a little bit, but you need that brain, that brain like stimulation for them to be able to drain everything kind of out.
Right. Yeah, totally. That's awesome. So can we kind of go back? Before you started Harbor Hounds, what was your career before that?
So I was working at a marina, just kind of like bookkeeping, office stuff. And then when I graduated college, when did I graduate college? 2012. I came back. The job market was so bad. I went on like 100 interviews and it was jobs that I was going to be like essentially cold calling. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. This is like not what I was meant to do. So I was working at the marina and then just kind of saw the need for it, especially in East Boston.
Yeah, totally. And as far as like, so as you know, I totally know from my perspective, I like the hands-on piece of the business and the bookkeeping admin side. I freaking hate.
Yes.
To the point where like I barely do it.
Yeah.
How do you balance that out? Do you have strengths in that department? Do you find that it's peaceful? Do you struggle? Like what? This is more of a personal question too.
So, I think that most of like my employees and people that know me would consider me kind of manic. I'm not the type of person that's like over controlling. Like I don't micromanage my staff at all. I have so much faith in them. They know what they're doing and I'll leave them to it. But as far as like my day-to-day operations, scheduling, payments, and client info, I know that I can get a software that can just do that. But nope, I would rather do it the hard way. I'd rather have paper copies. I'd rather like write everything down and
You should talk to Laurie.
make my life 100 times harder. And it's like, I'm the worst millennial because I don't know how to import all this stuff on the computer. And I get like the hard copy of it. I make a label. I put it in a filing cabinet. I'm like an 80-year-old man when it comes to like the bookkeeping, but it works for me. And so many of my clients are like, why don't you have like a scheduling portal online and like a payment thing? And I'm like, it makes more sense for me to have you email me Sunday night of each week, and I will go and I'll write their names on the board, and that's just what works for me. I don't know why. And I mean, eventually it will probably change. And we'll get rid of like all my hard copies and make everything electronic, but I don't know. It's just, I like to be able to see physically in my hand vaccinations and then like payment wise and stuff like that, and me to have like that control over it, and then opposed to having like a software glitch. I don't know. I think I get it from my dad. He's so old school like that. Has to write everything out. So that's kind of what I do.
Yeah, I've been using Pet Pocketbook. Have you heard of that service?
So another thing, I just started their onboarding with them, and I feel like she hates me because I only have it for vaccines. And
interesting.
They have so many other features on it, the scheduling, the payment. And I'm like, nope, I don't want any of that because what I'm doing right now works for me. And I had my onboarding with her yesterday, and she's like, well, this would make your life so much easier. And I'm like, I just can't commit to it. I want the vaccines, and I want it to send out to the pet parents when something is due, because otherwise I have to do it manually, and that's like the only reason why.
That's a really, really hard thing.
Yeah. So
like I just go through everything once a year, like literally like once a year.
Yes.
And by that time it's like, it's not so much of a big deal for me as a dog walker.
Yeah.
Like they need to have rabies.
Yeah. So
like
rabies,
the basic things. Because I don't require like kennel cough and all that other stuff, just because I don't handle like 30 dogs.
I'm super lax about that. But definitely the rabies. And I have a spreadsheet. I have things highlighted on the spreadsheet that I go through. And now I just using Pet Pocketbook with Diana, and then that will just send out reminders.
Notifications, yeah.
But as far as the scheduling and stuff, I'm like, I know this looks super easy, but I just can't commit to it right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I started using it I think 2 years ago. For dog walking, it's great because I just don't ever see my clients to collect payment.
Right.
And some people are like really on top of it, and other people are like really not on top of it. And I also feel like it was a great way to legitimize my business for the outside world, because I didn't want to use Venmo. I didn't want to use PayPal. You know, I wanted to use something that had a little bit more like legitimacy to it. Because I find with me, my clients at this point, like, we're close. I wouldn't necessarily call us friends, but like if they have a problem, if they, I know everything going on in their life.
Yes.
But at the same time, like, that makes it difficult to cancel and then charge them for it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like if they cancel within 24 hours, I'm so sorry, Leah. It's like, then I feel bad like charging them for that. But with Pet Pocketbook, it's just like, it does it automatically for me. Like, boom, like I don't have to worry about it. It just kind of gives it, for me, it kind of gives my business that edge that I need to just keep it professional.
Yes.
And that's been really helpful. And Diane is great at Pet Pocketbook.
See, I do like
like
that feature, because we do have a policy about cancellation, and some cancellations I totally understand. There's an emergency, and fine, I'm not going to charge you. But the no-shows and stuff, and I'm like, I staff accordingly for the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And, I turn dogs away that want to come a specific day. So it's like, it's hard to reinforce that when you are face to face with a client. And I'm so close with all my clients that it's like, it's so hard to do. But I'm like, I also need to make money, and I also need to, stick to what works for my business.
Right. Yeah.
How I get paid and pay my staff and stuff. So I do like that feature on Pet Pocketbook.
It is good. I like it a lot. I definitely like it a lot, but I definitely understand Laurie is like super hesitant about, for every single reason that you just said. Yeah. Just kind of like having the control, having the pen and paper, the weird thing is like, I'm such a pen and paper person too. Like I make myself lists, I check them off. Yes. I have like moleskin journals, like like a old hippy dippy, and that's how I get my tasks done. But But yeah, it has been it's been a good service for me because I don't have as much like face-to-face time with my clients.
Yeah, exactly. And right now it's hard because we're doing Venmo only because we're not having people come into our lobby to do a checkout system. So actually all my clients have been super easy about the Venmo. They're getting it done that day. But it's like Venmo's tough too because I feel like it's not like super professional, but it's easy now.
I think they offer that feature too now because of this whole
it's super easy for us, and it goes right into the business account, and that's just one and done. So that's been that has made everything a little bit easier, especially with checkouts and stuff. Like I don't have to take 5 minutes and check somebody out because we have a line of people now that come to pick up, and we're trying to socially distance, and we're trying to make sure that we're getting out all the dogs safely when they're seeing like a bunch of other dogs coming out on a slip lead, having the owner bring their own leash and collar, and it's like just trying to move things quickly and painlessly as possible right now.
I love not taking the leashes and using all my own stuff.
I feel like I'm gonna stick to this forever.
Me too, yeah, because I love my own stuff, and it's just like one less step.
Yeah, it really is, and
less crap hanging around.
Yeah, and it's been kind of funny watching.
It's like, have you ever washed this leash?
I know
it should not be petrified with dirt.
I know. It's been kind of funny watching our customers try to like leash up and harness up, and it's like it's so chaotic for us at the end of the day when we are putting a harness on and a collar and a leash, and it's like just come with a collar and a leash. It's just one extra step that we don't have to do, and they're excited because their parents are there, and it's like they're kind of seeing how much of a shit show it can be. So the slip lead is so easy, and we just loop it through their whole body, and they put it on, then it's just done.
Right. Yeah, I love slip leads.
But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things that we're going to implement after this that we're going to stick with. I bought one of those, it's a kennel, but it is 6 feet high, 8 feet long, 4 feet wide.
Okay.
So it has a covering on it, so when they come in, the client and the dog will come in directly. You can't have my Band-Aid.
Hey.
He wants it. So the clients will come directly into there, take off all their dogs' collars, leashes, whatever, and then shut the gate behind them, and then we'll see them and go and get their dog. So I really like that aspect of it too, because you're not dealing with, people coming in right behind another, and it just makes it a little bit
slows
easier.
it down a little bit so you guys can work.
Yeah, and it does slow them down. That's a huge thing because you do not want to bring a dog into a group, 30 dogs, all hyped up and jazzed to go. It leaves so much room for error. You want to bring a nice, calm, slow walking dog into a group.
Right.
And so it definitely slows them down with that. So I'm excited to get that going.
Yeah, I feel like this COVID debacle is just, like we said earlier, it's just kind of like, it has changed a lot. And I think that at this point, it's just kind of waiting to see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Because we talked on a podcast earlier, just like right before everything it was totally closed
4
down.
4 days before.
Yeah, and it was like just everybody was like, oh, this is so nerve-wracking. And I still feel like now it's like, oh, it's so nerve-wracking, but it's so nice out. You know what I mean?
I know.
So
we've been outside the whole time.
Crazy.
We don't even go inside anymore. We're
Yeah.
outside. We have the dog pool. We have shades and stuff, and that's been super nice. I can't imagine having this whole thing go down in the winter at all. But yeah, it's hard because we're open at like 60% capacity right now with like 60% clientele. So I have some customers that are like, when are you going to go back? Monday through Friday? And I'm like, I'm navigating this as much as you are.
Yes.
Like, I have no idea. I need to kind of wait and see and who goes back to work because I can't operate with 9 dogs a day and pay staff. I'm in the red. And of course, with being closed for 2 months, I didn't defer anything. I still had bills coming out. I still had rent. I still had my insurance and stuff. So I didn't want to defer anything. So just getting money in right now makes sense. And I can't afford to just have, a few dogs on a Monday and Friday. So.
What would have happened if this thing happened when you first opened?
I don't even know. I would just, I don't know. It'd be very scary.
Calling mom and dad.
Yeah. I mean, my parents have been so awesome and supportive. My dad, he was like, he wanted to do this as much as I did. He's like, let's do this. I'm going to help you. He's super handy. So he did all my rubber flooring. We put up barriers. He does all the construction and stuff. And
that's awesome.
He's just been an absolute rock star with my whole success in this. So Yeah, it would probably just be me and him and 4 dogs. And I mean, I didn't pay myself in the beginning for a very long time.
Yeah,
So
same.
I don't know, actually. I probably just have, a few dogs, and like I kind of did at the beginning, and just, I didn't have staff then. So I didn't have this other expense because payroll is so expensive once you get a few people.
Right.
So it would probably honestly be the same.
So the people that you laid off, they're now employed.
Yep. And one isn't yet just because we don't have enough dogs for that many employees right now.
Right.
So she's going to come back in probably in the next couple of weeks when we know more about like
the reopening.
If people are going back to work and stuff. But at least she's collecting unemployment. I mean, what I was saying before, I'm like, it's tough because, all these people that I am employing, I worry about them and then, not getting unemployment and then they're out of a job. So it's like, it weighs heavy on my heart, but thankfully everything did work out in that aspect of it. And right now it's just about getting my business going, getting some numbers in and just going to keep climbing. Even if it's slowly, we're going to get back to where we were, hopefully.
Right. Yeah, that's the goal. Hopefully, this whole thing just kind of continues to downtrend as far as the, it's just been I shut the TV off a while ago, like the news and stuff.
Yeah,
I
now
feel
CDC is saying that it doesn't live on surfaces.
Yeah, exactly. Like who the heck knows? It's so frustrating. I had one lady, Arlington Public Schools sent out a notice that said, basically like you can transmit to your dog, but they don't have any of that information.
Ugh.
So it's like, they put it on paper. The woman has a child that's at risk, and it's like, well, better safe than sorry. And it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, like never get out of bed.
Yeah, that's
just stay in bed. and it's so frustrating when, I don't want to say authoritarians, but like people that have authority put something on a piece of paper as if it were true when they have no idea if it's true or not.
Yeah, it's Boston.gov put out something last week about like socially distancing your dogs from other dogs. And I was like, why are we doing this? Like the chances of it are almost none. And it fear mongers so much to the point that people, and then now they're saying that it doesn't live on surfaces.
Well, it's not true.
It's
That's
not true.
The biggest thing. It's just like in this information, like super age where like anybody can put anything out there whenever they feel like it. It's like, it happens with dumb people on Twitter, but now it's happening with like smart people.
Yeah,
you know
like,
what I mean?
Why are you doing this? Yeah, when that went out and I was like, why? Like, this isn't true. It's inaccurate. And now so many people have seen it. And so now so many people are like, oh, well, I'm not going to bring my dog to daycare. My dog's not going to go on group walks because they need to socially distance from other dogs. And I can't have anybody petting my dog because they might give it to me. And it's like, no.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
It's not going to happen.
At all.
And it's not how it works.
I know. It's been really, this has been a really interesting time to go through. I really hope at the end of it, there's just more accountability for information.
Yes, me too.
I think if anything good can come out of this, it's going to be, just realizing the value of information. And maybe it was better 20 years ago when things happened so slowly as far as communication, and like the newspaper had to write an article, it got approved and then printed in like print, and there was some time in between so that like the editor could be like, I'm pulling this article because it's bullshit.
Yes.
And now it's just like, wow, and it's just not, I don't think things are thought through, and obviously that's coming from the top down. I don't care if you like Trump or you hate him. Like, the guy runs his mouth like a toilet.
Right.
So it's like he's not thinking about what he's saying before he says it. And like that right there in and of itself, it's like, yeah, if you're just like talking to your friends at a barbecue, not a big deal. But when you're, you have influence over like the news or people's behavior, it becomes a huge deal. And especially with the dog stuff, like somebody posted in a like the trainers group online and they on Facebook, and they posted a CDC article about socially distancing from your dogs. This was like a month ago. And I just looked at it and I'm like, I can't watch the news anymore.
No.
Like, this is so, and of course it's not true.
Right.
But it came from the freaking CDC.
Yeah. So then you see
of course
that.
people are going to believe it. And then now it's coming out like, oh yeah, actually just kidding.
Yeah,
Ha ha ha.
by the way.
Yeah, by the way, I lost a bunch of money because of you dummies.
Yeah,
You
by
know
the
what I
way, I
mean?
spent like $2,000 on cleaning products and Lysol that
I don't need.
I don't need anymore. But
Yeah, or you had the rules about taking all your dog's stuff off.
Yeah,
and then
and
you were
we've
worried
been-
about reopening because you didn't know if it could live on a dog's fur because we got that information.
And I was so anal about it, and I still am because I want the piece of. I'm in no way, shape, or form like paralyzed by this. Like I'm kind of just still doing the same things, just taking extra precautions for myself. For my business, it's obviously way different because I need to have my employees feel safe. I need to have my clients feel safe and whatnot. But it's just like all these different things in your day-to-day life and how much things have changed and like the fear mongering. And then I worry about, my clients that are at high risk. So I totally see it from them. And then my parents are older and I see my dad every morning because he works at the shipyard and like he comes into the lobby and it's like all these different things you worry about. And then you don't want to worry about it too much. And then your head spins and it will make you crazy. So my whole thing has just been, washing my hands, keeping things clean, just keep it moving.
Yeah, totally. I feel bad because both of our interviews have been kind of like bookended by talking about COVID.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like you pretty much can't get away, and it is going to be affecting our businesses
exactly
for a while.
It's one of those things that hopefully we look back in 20 years and it's like, wow, my business survived through that, and it's crazy.
Yeah. So at the end of this conversation, just to kind of like put a little bookend on it. Would you have any advice for somebody who kind of has a thought that they might want to get into this industry, whether it's as a trainer, a walker, a groomer, whatever? I know you have a lot of different facets of your business. Let's say COVID didn't exist,
Yep.
and we were in the market that we were in 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Would you give any advice to somebody that was looking to get into the industry, and what would that be?
Yes, absolutely. Go work at a doggy daycare, go apprentice with a trainer, get your feet wet. I actually talked with Meredith a couple years back when she was just dog walking, and her mom and her were interested in opening a doggy daycare. And they actually took me out to lunch, and I'm like, you should come in here and shadow me for a week, kind of see how things are run. People think, of course, you get to play with dogs all day and it's fine and dandy. And as much as I love the dogs, my main priority is keeping them safe. That's my main thing every single day when I go in, is that they are safe and they're okay and having fun. I'm not in there laying on the ground with the dogs all day. There's so many other aspects that go into it that a lot of people don't realize. So whenever anybody wants to get involved in the dog world, whether it be training, grooming, doggy daycare attendant, owning a doggy daycare, go work at one, go shadow one, go get your feet wet with it, because that will be so instrumental in running a successful business. I didn't do that, and I wish I had, because I think I would have known a lot more things when I first opened and how to handle certain situations. But I've learned as I've kind of grown, and I'm in a spot now that, I wouldn't change anything except maybe that I did spend a little bit of time in a daycare prior to opening.
Yeah, and as far as like physical, mental attributes that you feel like you need to have in order to be successful.
So physical, you have to think that you are handling dogs all day. So exercising is obviously so important. And when you're in the dog world, you are go, go, go. So just like being healthy in general and just being in the right mindset is what's going to really, really help you. I mean, you're on your feet all day long. As you know, you walk countless steps a day. My facility isn't that big, and I probably still do 15,000 steps a day. And I'm just going back and forth, but you're on your feet and you're managing and slip leading dogs and bringing dogs outside, and you have dogs that pull, and it's hard on your body. I mean, it was nice to give my body a little bit of a break. My first day back, the next day I couldn't move my shoulder just from like the pulling of dogs and like handling dogs. So yeah,
I see a big correlation between dog handlers and fitness.
Yeah.
Even at the very top, of the game, it's like people, I mean, there is just a huge correlation between any type of fitness, like whether it's like running, biking, bodybuilding,
Yeah.
taekwondo, MMA,
Yeah,
stuff
I mean,
like
look
that.
at Lori. Jacked.
I know. She looks,
Goals right there.
yeah, she.
I think she went outside.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's pretty peeled, as they
But
say.
it's so good because if you're going to be handling dogs and like especially at protection training and stuff, I'm sure you've seen me. I mean, I literally try to lift weights every single day, and I try to do yoga and I stretch, and when the gyms are open, I was going almost every single day or running, just because when I'm like holding Phoenix at bike work, I feel like I'm a wet noodle sometimes.
Oh,
and
my God.
Lori's like, no problem. I got it. And I'm like, but like if you want to do stuff like that with your dogs, you have to be physically in shape to be able to keep up, walk with them all day, you know, just be on your feet, handling power breeds and stuff. You have to have some type of physical endurance, I think.
Yeah, and I think that for injury prevention also.
Yes.
Like my back is really bad. I think it would be worse if I didn't lift a little bit and keep myself, you know, thin, because I feel like that's a big thing too. You know, if you're carrying a few extra pounds, it's just going to make your job that much harder, you know, to get to where you really need to be in order to be. I mean, the other day we were in the woods and we have a blind dog and try to give him as much like freedom. But there's this like ledge that, you know, drops off, and I had a line on him, and he just like went over, and I would just like grab it like on my hands and knees, and like a combination of just like anxiety and then like physical. I'm like breathless by the time I like got up after like just quickly like grabbing onto it just to make sure that he didn't.
Of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, especially like, so I mean, knock on wood, we don't have barely any dog fights. We have like the normal like
Scuffles.
overcorrections, very small scuffles where it's, you know, maybe a puncture here and there, very minimal. But we have had instances where, you know, you get two dogs that are not letting go, and it's like you have to be so strong to get these dogs to stop doing what they're doing. And I never advise anybody to break up a dog fight unless they know what the hell they're doing. But if you, and like pulling them away and then holding them back, it's like if you are not like physically able to do it, that dog is going to adrenaline right over you and just go.
Redirect. Right
redirect. So you need to, I think that's a big part of it for sure.
Yeah, it's something I've seen a big correlation, even just from random people that I follow on social to people that I hang out with, you know, other walkers and trainers and things like that. It's definitely something that people get into. And you know, like some people, why do you bother going to the gym? Like you're on your feet all day, and it's not the same.
No,
you know what I mean? Like,
no,
it's just nothing about, you know, wear and tear and like working out is the same. So I kind of,
your body gets used to like just that regular movement of walking. It's like you need to be adding that resistance into like your daily exercise routine that's so repetitive to be able to gain that.
Yeah, and just be, you know, limber and not get hurt.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, if I could, I said this the other day to Tyler, but if I could, I would want to be a decoy or work that way.
I told Tyler for my birthday I want to be in the suit and I want Nala.
Yeah, and you just
once.
Yeah. but I look at it and I'm just like, I would probably just die.
Yes.
Like seriously, if I caught a dog like Buddha, like I would probably just be like on the ground, like I just got tackled in an NFL game. Just like wheel me off, get the stretcher out.
Yeah, it's like watching him do it like dog after dog. I'm like, oh man, like I'd be dead. I'm tired after holding Phoenix doing it, and all I'm doing is holding the leash and of course giving some resistance with it. But I'm like, and then of course Tyler makes me like run 500 times around after he bites on, like an idiot. And then I'm tired from that, but I'm like, I can't even imagine the decoy stance of it. But
or like standing out in a field in a competition with like a bite suit on, like in the heat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So do you have any aspirations with Phoenix to do any work like that, like competition obedience or doing any protection?
I've like recently, within the past 2 years, really been exposed to that side of dogs, like the working line dogs and stuff like that. And I love it. I think it's so interesting. And I think why I really like it is because I see dog breeds for what they are, and I like watching them perform at like their natural ability and like just doing crazy awesome stuff. So although my dog is he's had a hard time with the protection training, he hasn't progress as fastly as I would like him to. And it's discouraging for sure, but I still like doing it. I still like getting him out there and getting his confidence up and building his drive with that. I mean, he's super drivey. We just need to keep at it. But I love going and watching, like, I'm sure when you've been there, you've seen the police canines come in, and like, that's just so cool to me. So for him, as far as like aspirations, doing anything competitive, I do not see him having it. He's already 5. I didn't start with him until super late. I think that if I like really made it a point and I worked with him every single day, I could get there. I don't have the time in the day to do it. But maybe with my next dog, I would really like to get a working line breed for my next dog and do stuff like that and be super on point with it.
Right.
But it's so cool. It really is. I'm so interested in it, and I love watching them perform.
Yeah, it's the difference between, going to Tyler's sessions are different than what Laurie had done previously with her dogs, like they're playing basically, and like his dogs are like, biting and for real.
Yeah.
So
Definitely biting.
There's like a huge difference. And I think that that's something that, it depends on the dog you have. Like, do you think Phoenix would be good at sport rather than like pure protection or?
Yeah. So for sure. There's definitely other areas that I want to explore with him, kind of. Like, I was, like, really, like, getting into a huge routine with it when everything was operating functionally, and we were going every week, maybe 2 times a week, and then kind of exploring what he would be better at. His obedience is really, really good, and I did that all on my own. So I think, like, a sport type of thing would be really good for him, just because he's so ultra focused onto that more than, like, biting somebody. He wants, like, the ball or, like, a rag and, like, stuff like that. So I think he'd be probably better.
You should go to the competition classes. We go to up at Auntie Dog in Tewksbury.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, we I don't know. I would like to do something a little bit more formal with Ruben. He can do it. He just is so annoying for the first like 10 minutes when he gets into the situation. Yeah. And then he's fine. But yeah, I mean, I hate to say it aloud, but I would love to like get a CD on, like, just do the like entry level AKC obedience with him. Yeah. I think it would be a good thing, but just to kind of get that. I mean, he's not gonna bite onto anything, but I mean, Buddha definitely would be good at that type of stuff.
He's so fun to watch, and like Roddy goals right there, because I'm like, Phoenix, so watch him and do that. Like, and it's funny because like at home, like I'll screw around with him and I'll get like a bite pillow type thing, and he bites and he holds, but like when he's in that drive, I know that he's not being drivey towards the person. It's only what the person is holding. So when he hasn't progressed to the sleeve yet, because he doesn't give a shit about the sleeve, he wants the wedge. He wants the wedge, and he wants to run around with it. And Tyler goes up to him and like whacks him on the head to agitate him. And Phoenix is like, "Oh, you hit me. We are friends." And it's like, toughen up, buddy.
Right.
He hasn't gotten there yet, but like when I thin out my pack a little bit, I do definitely want to get a dog from a working line that has that drive, because I like doing it. That's my fun place.
But you could do like sports. You could do the sport with the decoy and the and the blinds and stuff like that. Like if he'll do it, there's a.
Yeah, I need to explore that. I'll definitely get that information before I leave, because I think that he would excel in that for sure.
Yeah, there's just so many different, like, I remember I was talking to Tyler about Boo Boo, and he was saying, because I had watched this, like, really old school video about the different types of drives, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this makes so much sense now that I, like, know what's going on.
Yes.
And I asked Tyler, I'm like, do you think Buddha has that, like, pure, like, fight drive? And he was like, I think so, but do you really want me to bring that out of him?
Yeah.
And that's a whole other question, you know what I mean? Because it's, people think that it's so cool and so fun. It's like, living with a high drive Belgian Malinois that like will literally rip somebody's face off. Like not fun. It's like you're gonna have to do a lot of and you have a hard time with the crate, and like, no, that's that's just not something.
So much obedience goes into it, because they like you said earlier, it needs to be like an on switch, and they need to know when to turn it off. So that's like the importance of like giving them a command before, when you're working with a decoy, giving them that command to say, all right, go light them up.
Yep.
Go light them up. And then, recall is super important in those too. And you just have to have like a really sound dog with obedience first before you do that. Obedience is like the key factor of doing anything, I think. You need to get obedience down before you can start doing a bunch of these things with your dogs.
Right, totally. Yeah, obedience saves my dog Ruben from so many situations, because he's just so reactive. And I know that there are a lot of trainers that preach against that, and say, well, the obedience is not going to override like the genetics, and you need to slap an e-collar on and put it on 100 and just like stop it. And I'm like, nah, this works fine.
Yeah, exactly. This is what's going to get the job done.
Yeah, the obedience, basically.
Yeah.
And just being like strict and knowing the limitations of, your dog and yourself too, I think is important too. Like, I know that I'm not ready for, like a super high drive dog.
Like a Mal.
No.
It's so crazy.
Like, I know that about myself. Like, I mean, like, you take one look at Leah, like, I don't think that there's a lot of people that would be like, yeah, I think I'm going to screw with her. Like, she'd be somebody, or like when Laurie and I are together, like, I don't think that anybody looks at us and is like, oh yeah, they seem like a really easygoing bunch.
Yeah.
Like, we're not, I know that, but I'm not ready for a dog that like, and there are a lot of women out there that their personality just latches on to that breed, and they freaking love working their dogs in that way.
Badass.
And they are true badasses. And like, I know that I am not that way. You know what I mean?
It's like, I would love to. I told Tyler, I'm like, I really just let me have one of the puppies for like a night. I just want to like see. And I've met his Fallon, I think her name was, a couple years ago. Little Mal came over, and she was like 7 weeks old, and she beat the shit out of Phoenix for like 10 minutes straight. Phoenix was horrified. This thing was just biting me, attacking me. And I'm like, I could never. But it is crazy to see a lot of these city dwellers, people in Boston that are like 25 getting Mals. It's like, why? You're living on like the top floor of like an apartment building. You have a Mal? What are you doing?
It's crazy.
It is crazy. And then they're like, yeah, I saw it in that movie, and they took down Bin Laden, so I want to get one. They seem awesome. And it's like, God, stop, please.
There's a channel on YouTube that I forget. The Documentary TV. Do you ever watch that? It's great. It's like some dude out on the West Coast, and he does like tons of video. It's awesome. But probably 4 or 5 years ago, he had these women. I think they had like a Dutchie, a German Shepherd, and a Mal, and they were the same, like 25, 32 to 32 years old. These women, just total badasses. And I'm like, all right. I mean, they have more space out there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's different. They're taking all this, like, he takes drone footage, and I'm just like, there isn't even that much land around Boston.
Yeah.
Like, if you threw that drone up in Boston, like, you'd catch the whole city. But,
right.
He's showing all this footage, and I don't know. I think it definitely takes a certain person, and I know that I'm just not there yet. Yeah. And I think that's why
they're not my type of dog personally at all. Shepherds just aren't. I love to watch them work. I love their ability and their drive. It's so fascinating to me to be able to see a dog turn that on. But would I own one? No.
Yeah.
No, it's not for me.
Yeah, we like the Rots.
Yeah, the Rotties, Adobes. I'm a black and tan type of gal.
It's like, I get hot in the summertime too and want to sit inside. Let's go do that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I need a dog that, with 3 dogs now, people are like, how do you do it? And I'm like, they're not like crazy at home. They all relax. They all keep to themselves. And I could never have a dog that's just in my apartment just going nuts all day looking for attention. I'd be like, stop. I can't.
Yeah, it's hard. All right. Well, we've been going on and yabbering for quite some time now, so I think we should wrap you pappy.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm sure that this will not be now it's the second time, but we'll probably meet again in this capacity.
Yeah, come to Harbor Hounds next time.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Get the Rotties together.
All right. Signing off, everybody. Thank you for listening.